This isn't gonna work well.
It's fun.
I know I haven't made a lot of videos lately, but that doesn't mean I'm not working on my model railroad. As a matter of fact, I've gotten quite a bit done out here in the hobby room. So today I thought I would give you a mega update showing you all the different things I've managed to get done out here. Welcome to It's My Railroad. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Brown and welcome to my hobby room. I just got done shooting an episode for Model Railroader Video Plus. It's the video arm of Model Railroader magazine, and I've been doing that for about a year and a half, and I totally dig it. And while I had the equipment set up, I thought this might be an opportunity to at least give the It's My Railroad community an update on the stuff I've been working on up here, including some of the MRVP stuff, Model Railroader Video Plus stuff. But before we get to that, I think I'd just jump in and remind everybody, we get into this hobby for a reason. And my initial reason was I needed to get out of my headspace when it comes to work and drama and life and all that. Just have a place I can focus, something I can enjoy and have some kind of control over. And sharing all of that with the community was just an added bonus to that. But with COVID-19, reduced incomes around the Brown house, and for some reason elevated level of stress at work, I've been using my hobby room for what it's designed for. I've been working on my model railroad when I come home from work and just enjoying the time without having to be all, hey, I'm making a video for all the people to see, that kind of thing, all right? But things are kind of settling down now, and I fully intend to get into making more regular videos and sort of get back into the swing of things. But at least I wanted to let you guys see what I've been working on out here in the hobby room as sort of a mega update. So let's just roll into it, starting with what you see behind me here. This is my new concrete manufacturing plant, and this is sort of a mock-up right now. It's not the final deal. I've got sort of a little loading shed going here, and I got some silos and the building the heaters in that makes the concrete and stuff. And I'm really happy with this. This is going to send concrete down to Portsmouth, which I'll show you in a minute, to my new concrete loading terminal I've got down there. But with your indulgence, I'm going to bring that camera in a little closer. I'm going to show you some of the features of the stuff I've been working on up here. To get started, let me show you this deal. I scratch built this bridge out of just some wood, and I made these couple of retaining walls here in this trestle, and I weathered it, glued it in place. I use the same techniques that you've seen me use to build wooden retaining walls and tunnel portals and stuff like that. The purpose of this is basically to make the trains disappear into the backdrop without needing a tunnel portal or some other means of camouflage it. And it's something I always wanted to do, and I did it. And once I paint back in there and continue the ballast all the way around, I think overall at a passing glance, it's going to be pretty convincing. This bridge continues a track that goes around here and basically, boink, falls off the layout. This track is where a train comes in that's got different materials, gravel and stuff that's used to make the concrete over at the plant. Now, here's the thing. With this drop off here, I can't exactly have a train falling off of there. So what I did was I left a big gap right here in the rails. Let me move this out of the way for a second. This way, my switcher, if it backs up and for some reason I lose control, it's not going to extend over onto those rails, keep going and just pitch itself off the layout. So in essence, there's never going to be a train traveling on that back track. I may put some cars back there with materials in to add some interest to the scene, but pretty much the switcher stops right there. Let's put this back. So basically the way this scene works is that switcher you saw in the back brings the materials over and drops them off into the plant. But the operational part of this is these two switchers you see coming in here, coming from the Bentleyville yard with 4, 5, 6 empty hopper cars. The train pulls on to the first track. Then the switcher comes over and attaches to the back. Then we uncouple from the switcher consist, pull those cars out, and push them back onto the unloading track. Then the switcher just gets out of the way. Then the switcher consist at a Bentleyville pulls over, attaches to the other end of the train, pulls it through the unloading facility, and then heads on back to the Bentleyville yard. Now these trees you see right here, they've always kind of looked like Joshua trees to me, and they used to be down here at Fertile Valley. But I plucked them and decided to replant them up here, and I think they look much better up here. They give it this pretty decent desert kind of scene, which is similar to the prototype I'm modeling up in Victorville, California. To get sort of that desert look, what I did is I took some sand-colored paint, and I painted over all of it, and then I took some diluted black acrylic paint, very heavily diluted, washed it over there to catch the edges and everything. Then I actually used some sort of sand-colored tile grout, sprinkled it on there, and then glued all that down. On top of it, you see I've just got some static grass, some ground foam, and of course the Joshua trees. So it's not obviously done yet. I've got to finish the structure back here, figure out how I'm going to landscape around it. But you know, for now, I'm totally digging the fact that I can run that train up there at a Bentleyville and run that operation. So you can look forward to seeing more of that as we move forward. But now, what I'm going to take you to do is I'm going to take you to the other side of this camera and show you a little town called Carlington. Hey, so welcome to Carlington. This is an MRVP project build that I'm working on for them. And basically what we're doing is we're taking this HO scale track plan for the tar branch, one of their project railroads they shot for MRVP, and I'm scaling it down to fit this space on my model railroad. Now there were some challenges involved in that because they've got more depth than I do, but they don't have the same amount of length. So I kind of had to spread it out a little bit more, but come the end of the day, I'm pretty happy the way it fits in. It captures all the key components, with the exception of the staging track. I don't have a staging track. I actually have track because it takes off and it heads over to the Bentleyville yard. But all this stuff, again, is on MRVP. You can take a look at how I built these structures. But let me just take you on a quick tour of Carlington and show you what I got done up here. Way off here on the left side, I've got this sort of Frankenstein thing going right now. What you see are, it's kind of a mock-up at this point, but you see what's left of the silos from my grain silo from my old layout, and I've got the shed for unloading grain here. And then I just built this box out of some siding, and I took this old piece that I have from another model to put it there as part of where the brewery is. Like I said, this brewery is more of a mock-up than anything else, and it's a placeholder, and I've been looking at it and thinking about it and seeing how this plays out. This grain makes its way all the way down to the bottom deck and ultimately over to Switch Junction, which I've got something special to say about in just a minute. Moving over here to the right just a little bit, we end up with my new textile mill. Now this was a Walther's kit, American Hardware Supply, but it kind of represents, kind of looks like the prototype, my prototype, which is from the track plan. And I had to kit bash that to get this angle in here and to make it smaller and whatnot, and then painted the brick red, and at the end of the day, it's pretty solid, and I like the way that looks. Just in front of that, we've got these two structures here. Both of these were kits. This one had a whole nother piece on the side of it that I just eliminated because this matches the prototype. And then I kit bashed this little structure right here. And you can see I've just glued plastic together, painted a brick color, painted it green, made this loading dock out of wood. At some point I need to elevate these, but I need to figure out where my roads and stuff are going first. So that's what I got going up here. And way over here to the right, I've got the ball field forwarders. Again, matching the prototype, which is the Winston-Salem southbound freight house. But this, I pretty much just built the kit the way it came. And it came pre-weathered, which was pretty cool. But I added some more weathering to it to sort of make it my own, if you will. And I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. A little further over, we have what on the prototype's a cold storage warehouse. I'm not really certain what that's going to be used for right now, but it matches the prototype. And then if we move just a little bit farther to the right, you can see that this right here is a team track, and right now I got some pulpwood on there. And I got a road that's gonna come in here and a road that comes across here, roadway back in here. And that's gonna be the next step on this project, is getting that road installed. So anyway, there's my Carlington scene I've spent a great deal of time on. Like I said, the next thing to do is get some roads in, some scenery around that. I gotta put me in some kind of a photo backdrop to match what I'm calling the prototype. Again, the track plan and the videos they made from this. But I had an opportunity to run some switching ops in here a couple times out of the Bentleyville yard, which you guys have seen in the past. And I gotta tell you, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to do up here. It will never get boring, I'm sure. So that's about it for what I've gotten done on the top deck, but a lot of work got done on the bottom deck. Some of you have already seen how I rebuilt my logging camp, so I'm not gonna go into that right now. Some of you have seen how I scratch built my coal mine. That was the last video I put out. Still pretty proud of it. Love looking at that junk. But I'm gonna drop you down to the first deck. We'll take a look at my gorge real quick and then work our way around to the port and what I've gotten done over there.
Let's go.
So what you see behind me here is what used to be the Virgin River Gorge. Now, back in the day, water used to flow through there and made it the Virgin River. But once I reintegrated this module into the new layout, back behind it, no place for the water to come from, basically. So I decided to turn it into a dry wash, rename it Beggar's Canyon. If you're a Star Wars fan, that's gonna mean something to you. Anyway, I went through and I painted it the same sort of sand colored paint I painted up there at Caliente Flats. And then I added a whole bunch of talus to it, put some rocks in there, put a bunch of greenery around the edges. Now, I haven't quite glued it down yet. That's coming, just pretty much just sitting there right now. And I want to do that after I put in some more shrubbery back here in the back. Right now, it's just kind of brown painted with that rock right there. I'm really happy with the way that looks. So I'll get the shrubbery in and then I will glue all of that down. Right up here on this bridge, I'm gonna need to add a couple of guide rails on the inside of the rails. That's something I failed to do when I originally scratch built that bridge about 3 years ago, but it's a detail that's missing. It's something I want to put in. So that's coming up. I may show you some of that. I may just show that to the members only because it's kind of a smaller deal. But come the end of the day, I'm going to be very pleased when that part of it's done. Now, let me take you over right here behind me and show you something I'm excited about, and that is Switch Junction. Let me introduce you to Switch Junction. Back in the day, this was my favorite scene on the module. I really loved the way it turned out. And once we moved it over here and reintegrated it, things have changed. I got rid of some of the ballast and we're gonna completely revamp it, which I started to do in a previous video. But by the way, there's a bonehead thing that I did that I'm gonna share with you right now, because regular guys sometimes do bonehead things, and that is this. To get all the ballast off the track, I had a spray bottle with water in it, and I sprayed that ballast and I took a shop vac and vacuumed it up. Came out good. All the ballast got off this track and it's ready to rock and roll. Bad news is this. I got glue wet with ballast in it and brought it into my shop vac, and I killed my shop vac. That thing used to suck like you would not believe. And now it's at about 25%. I've cleaned it, I've screwed it out, I finally replaced it. I got a new shop vac. So listen, I apologize for making a video showing you how I power washed my, my track here, but I would highly recommend you don't do that at home. I'm looking forward to finishing the rehab on this scene because it is, again, my favorite scene on the layout. I'm gonna use all the same structures, the whole 9 yards. And that's gonna be my next It's My Railroad project video. Hopefully you'll see that in 3 or 4 weeks, a couple of weeks, I don't know, something like that. Like I said, I'm gonna try to up my game on how many videos come out now that things are kind of normalizing around here. But when it's done, let's run some operations that get some logging loads up to the logging camp and get some coal loads up to the new coal mine, and then see how all that ships over to the Bentleyville yard over here at the port, and which is something I think I'll show you now. Let's just switch gears for a moment and let me take you over to Portsmouth. Hey, welcome to Portsmouth. Let me change that camera angle real quick. There we go, that's better. This is Portsmouth North. I'll show you Portsmouth South in just a second. Portsmouth North is a transfer facility. We transfer goods from box cars into this warehouse and they get loaded onto containers my massive container crane here loads them onto barges and they get shipped downriver. Now, this whole port scene I'm going to show you is another Model Railroader Video Plus project that I'm working on. But for channel members, it's my Railroad channel members, I've been sneaking little updates out, showing you guys kind of what I'm working on behind the scenes, just in case you aren't a subscriber to Model Railroader Video Plus. But some key features here are, well, we'll start with this crane right here. This is an HO scale crane that I kit bashed and shrunk down to make this massive crane on my N-scale layout, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now, this crane used to be black and I wasn't happy with it, so I painted it gray. Then I wasn't happy with the gray, so I painted it this sort of olive color that you see here, and then I washed it with an India ink, heavily diluted India ink wash to pick up some of the highlights, and then I put some rust on it to give it this nice patina finish. But one of the things I love about it is I rigged up the little crane down here to hold that container. And the cool thing is this little trolley is actually still positionable. Well, so I can set up the scene kind of however I want to. And Bob's your uncle. Right now I've got it set up where there's a couple of container loads that have come in from a part of the layout called Riley, and where it's another transfer facility. Since containers down here, they get loaded on the barges. But ultimately, this crane slides back and forth this way in real-time operations. And as you can see, I've got the scene set up where I've got a container here in the back getting ready to load, plus it's got this one coming out to the barge here in the front. Back here in the back, I've got a MyJack crane that I built from a Walthers kit and painted and weather it. I had to kit bash it a bit because it was really wide and I wanted it more narrow to look a little bit more realistic in the scene. So ultimately, I like the way it turned out. Originally, I had a top loading forklift ordered from China, but COVID kind of killed it, I guess. So I couldn't wait any longer. So I got this. It moves the containers around, and you know, for just something interesting in the scene, I don't think it looks too bad. Now, like I said earlier, ultimately this entire side of the port functions as a way to get goods off box cars into containers and then shipped out. Also, we receive these well cars from another part of the layout, Riley, as I said earlier, that get them onto the barges. And one of the things I love about a port, though, is I can ship anything that I want. It's almost like a team track in that regard. You can ship wool, cotton, lumber, Canuten valves, whatever it is, you can ship it out. And so ultimately, I'm digging the way this looks. Actually, something I forgot to point out to you is this structure back here gets produce from Switch Junction, which is right over here. And that gets loaded onto these big refrigerated containers here, and that gets shipped off onto barges. So anyway, that's Portsmouth North. I've spent a great deal of time building all of that. Ultimately, I'm going to put a photo backdrop in behind it, and we're going to see some operations happening as well as the main line being run. But then moving over here to the right, we end up with Portsmouth South. This is my concrete loading terminal. Let me bring you a little closer and show you some of the details there. At the beginning of the episode, I showed you Caliente Flats, and Caliente Flats ships its concrete right here to Portsmouth South. This is a concrete loading terminal that I 100% scratch built. We got a little loading shed right here. We got some silos that I made out of PVC pipe, and all the rest of this plastic I just cut and glued together until I had what I wanted. One of the fun things about it is my crane here. The wheels on it are just plastic boxcar wheels I cut off and glued in there, but I am able to extend this and retract this to set up the scene however I want. Plus it's able to slide along here in the back when depending on how I want the scene to go. I've got to take and get me some barges that don't have coal in them to put down on there. And at the end of the day, for a scene that was completely scratch built by yours truly, very happy with the way it turned out. Well, there you go, rail fans. That's what I've been working on out here in the hobby room pretty much every day when I get home from work. Again, using it as an escape, a way to relax and unwind, not necessarily shooting everything from video. But as things stabilize, we're going to get back into shooting those videos. Again, starting with the complete rehab of Switch Junction. Look forward to seeing that in 2 or 3 weeks. I can't wait to get on it. Can't wait to return it to its former glory. Matter of fact, what I've been trying to do is work my way around, get the Brownsville yard done, and then Brownsville itself. That ought to be a lot of fun. But until then, I'm going to be working out here, having a couple of beers, listening to music. Channel members need to know that I shot another video over there at Caliente Flats, and I'm going to be showing you a couple days after this one comes out. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. I thank you so much for being so encouraging and to continue to watch these videos. It means a lot to me that something I've done out here in the hobby room has meant something to you. So anyway, thanks again for joining me today. I had a ton of fun making this video, giving you a bit of an update. Until I see you again, my name is Steve Brown, and rail on, my friends.